Okay.
Yep. Good morning.
Morning.
We're going to begin with For the Beauty of the Earth, number 21 in the hymnal.
Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Spokane, where our mission is to join together to create a nourishing, liberal, religious home and to champion justice, diversity, and environmental stewardship in our wider world, or as we say in short, create community, find meaning, and work for justice. We're glad to have you with us this morning. We're a very welcoming congregation, and we appreciate your unique experiences, backgrounds, beliefs, and lifestyles. And if you're one of our longtime members or been here a short time, or if you're joining us today for the very first time, we're so glad you're with us. We're also very grateful to those who are joining us on Zoom today. We're glad that you're with us. Would you like to take a moment to introduce yourself?
My wife just wrote a letter to the editor. Fat chance it'll get published, but still.
Well, there just seems to be no energy at all, because I've had a lot of conversations about kind of doing reconciliation, and there are all kinds of good programs in South Africa and Sierra Leone and other places in the world that have reconciled differences. There seems to be no energy in working on reconciliation between them.
Good morning to our Zoom members.
Right.
How are our Zoom members this morning? Would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, I'm the social host, so maybe my name is Terry Anderson from Edmonton, but I have yacked to this group for some time, so why don't we just, and I think there's too many of us to go around in too much detail, but why doesn't John tell us a little about where you live and how you managed to join us here at the service, if you don't mind.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, I'm coming in from Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. As well, and I think it was through Terry that I found out about what's going on in Spokane, and certainly with the Reverend and following his stuff. So, having been estranged from my own church here, this is a nice home on a Sunday morning.
Okay, and it isn't even morning anymore, is it?
No.
Okay. Well, we're looking forward to the service, and thank you for giving us this chance to say hello.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. And Rehoboth Beach is a very beautiful place. I had a mother and father-in-law that lived in Delaware for a while, and we would go out and play around on Rehoboth Beach. So it's much nicer than here right now, probably. So welcome for joining us. Thank you. It's my pleasure to also welcome our guest speakers this morning, Stacey Maynor and Sandy Ivers with Partnering for Progress, and I will introduce them more later on in the service. But welcome to, glad you're joining us as well. I do have a few announcements this morning. First of all, we're in the midst of our community auction. This is now running through November 12th. Throughout the sanctuary here, you will see all the auction items posted on the wall, or you can check them out online at the UU Spokane website. Please take a moment to take a look at those and see what's what you would like to participate in. This is one of our largest fundraisers for the church at this time. So, also, there is a silent vigil for peace in the Middle East that will be taking place at 6 p.m. next Wednesday, November 1st. It will be held at the Spokane Federal Building. This vigil is sponsored by Vets for Peace. This will be a kid-friendly vigil with no speeches, supposedly no speeches. You're encouraged to join, but dress warmly, bring a small light. This is a self-policing event taking place next Wednesday at the Federal Building. And lastly, we are always looking for individuals that would be interested in joining our worship team as worship leaders. This role is a key role within UUCS and one which allows you to, as an individual, to share your experiences and your wisdoms and your thoughts with our congregation. It's a voluntary role. Your commitment would be maybe once every month and a half, 2 months. And there's a lot of resources that are readily available to support you in learning the role and developing your readings for a service. So if you're interested in joining, please see me after the service, or you can call my mobile phone or email. Both of those are in the church directory. So now I'd like to allow you to take just a few minutes to say hello to people here in the congregation and meet somebody that you haven't met before. So. Thank you. We'll have more time to greet one another, share our stories, and have good conversation in social hour after the service. So, and we now turn to from our informal greeting of one another to formally beginning our service by lighting the chalice. The chalice is our symbol of Unitarian Universalism, the symbol of our unity and solidarity, of our openness and inclusion, of our community and individual uniquenesses. May this small flame be our offering of warmth to those who are cold and alone, and a light to those in darkness. May it be a flame that ignites justice in our world and a beacon of hope to those in need. And may it reflect at least a spark of truth wherever truth has been lost and cast a healthy shadow of doubt where it has been found. For my opening reflection this morning, I'm going to share some words from Dean Koontz. All human lives are so profoundly and intricately entwined, those dead, those living, those generations yet to come, that the fate of all is the fate of each, and the hope of humanity rests in every heart and in every pair of hands.
Please stand as you'd like and join me for number 1031 in the teal hymnal, Filled with Loving Kindness. We'll do 3 times through I, you, and we. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be whole. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be whole. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we be whole.
We will now kindle our candles of care, and each time we gather as a congregation, there are always those who are with us in our minds and our hearts and who we want to wrap in our love and care. We kindle a candle of care today for Jacob Johns, who continues to remain in the hospital, recovering from the injuries he incurred in late September. We also kindle candles for those involved in the Middle East and Ukraine today, thinking of all of those issues that they are facing over there. Let us share a moment in silence, embracing others who are here and here in our hearts and minds this morning. And you're welcome to say their names aloud if you are comfortable. Those named aloud, and those embraced in our silence, and all those who are suffering elsewhere in our world at this hour, we hold in our community of compassion. We now gratefully give and receive this morning's offering, which sustains this community and its mission to the larger world.
We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now, it is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love.
Time for All Ages is just the second service today, right? Yes. So
If you felt like talking to the children, you're welcome to.
I could do my dance routine, but yeah, I think I'll hold off on that for the second service. Yeah, okay, all right. All right.
We have a special treat, a musical treat for the second service.
Okay, all right. So I invite you now to move into a time of meditation. As we move into it, find a comfortable position. Close your eyes if you wish. Put your feet on the floor. Take a deep breath in. Breathe out. Through it all, we attempt to bring balance to the present moment, understanding that in patience lies wisdom, knowing that what we will come next will be determined in large measure by how we are now. This is helpful to keep in mind when we get impatient in our meditation or when we get frustrated, impatient, and angry in our lives. Lao Tzu, in the Tao Te Ching, asks this of us: do you have the patience to wait till your mud settles and the water is clear? Can you remain unmoving till the right action arises by itself? Very beautiful, thank you. This morning, we have guest speakers from Partnering for Progress. That was not right. Partnering for Progress, and they'll be speaking about making a world of difference, a world away. Joining us today, are the co-founders, Stacey and Sandy Ivers. Partners for Progress is a Spokane-based nonprofit organization that was started in 2008 after they traveled along with Dr. Maynor and Nick Ivers to Kenya for volunteer medical work in 2007. The need of those villages in the southwest Kenya area was great. Child malnutrition, diarrheal diseases from unclean water and poor sanitation, lack of education for girls, and poverty was endemic. And they knew after this trip that they needed to do something to work with people in this remote village in Kenya. And out of this experience, Partners for Progress was born. Stacey Maynor has been so fortunate doing international volunteer medical work throughout her life, starting at age 19, with an amazing trip to a small village in Mexico. This experience cemented her passion to continue to do this work, and she and her husband, Mike, a retired emergency room physician, have done many international medical trips throughout their married life. 20 years ago, Stacey went back to school to become a nurse practitioner, which opened doors to provide medical care in the various countries. Sandy Ivers is a retired special ed teacher, a high school coach, and a mother of 3 adult sons and 3 grandchildren. As a young person, her nuclear family ingrained in her the importance of volunteer work. And along with her husband, Jim, they were involved with volunteer work in Spokane, Idaho areas, and Ecuador. One pillar of Partners for Progress program that is dear to Sandy's heart is the Education Scholarship Program. And as an educator, she understands the importance of education in elevating people, especially women and children. Out of poverty, Sandy is, especially women and children out of poverty. Sandy is the Education Committee Chair, focused on their scholarship program, and it's an avenue for many young people to attend high school and college. So please join me today in welcoming Sandy and Stacey. We may need to adjust this a little bit. Okay.
A little up and down here.
Up and down.
And we have a slideshow. Will it be showing up here?
Yes.
All right. We might be looking a lot at the slideshow as we move on. First of all, thank you very much for having us come. It is a real pleasure. It is a real pleasure to be here. I used to attend the Unitarian Church when my kids were in school, so that's probably about 25 years ago, and it's wonderful to come back. So, should we get started?
Yeah. I also want to tell you all that we have 2 of our big donors for Partnering for Progress in this congregation, and that is Bill and Barb Morkel. So
we're going to tell you a story.
Stay in front of the mic. So that
Okay, well, we need to get... We're going to tell you a story that's kind of long. Sorry, guys. And so the 4 of us traveled from Spokane to southwest Kenya, and it was truly a life-changing experience. It's now been 15 years, and hopefully we all are different. We hope the people in Kenya and the villages are also different. Okay, keep going. There we go. There you can see Kenya. And we're close to the Tanzania border, in fact, really close. People can walk right over. And that's helpful because Tanzania is extremely, extremely poor. And they're able to come and get some of the services from P4P.
we're also located next to Lake Victoria. So the community we're serving are farmers, but also rely heavily on the lake for protein sources.
Okay, you can see there's Nairobi in blue, and Kopanga-Gribe is in red. And the town closest to Kopanga-Gribe is Migori, and that's typically where we stay. And then we drive 45 minutes to get to these small villages.
And what we should tell you too is we fly in and out of Nairobi, but once we fly into Nairobi, we have to take a van that travels about anywhere from 7, depending on the road conditions, anywhere from 7 to, let's say, 10 hours to get out to Migori, which is where we stay. And then Kapanga's an additional 45 minutes. So we're very remote.
So as Sandy was saying, the area really is mainly agricultural. It's a lot of subsistence farming and small-scale farming. And this is really interesting. When we first went, our very first trip, it was truly astounding. That was when HIV was just raging. And I think 1 out of 4 people were testing positive. I mean, it was really crazy. And back then, the average lifespan was much different. And it's exciting to see the change. Is that in this slide or the next one? Oh, the median age is 20 point, that's not accurate. Keep going up one more. Well, women are living longer. They're living to age 60, and men, I believe, are still in their 30s. But women have definitely moved up. So when we first went there, we volunteered with this nurse called Alice, who was part of the Methodist Church. And she was working in this very, very small clinic. I would hardly call it a clinic, but it was a clinic to her. It was ground, dirt floor, small rooms, and she was seeing patients there. Babies were being delivered. It was a real eye-opener for Sandy and I.
And her delivery room was such that you had to crawl in. Do you remember that? You couldn't walk in. You had to get down and crawl into this room. It was, she had no electricity, no running water. It was amazing.
I know, it's beyond description. And we've done a lot of volunteer work, and that was really, truly amazing. And when we were there, for me, what I saw, which was really tragic, was the malnourished babies. I mean, they just were, you just see the ribs. I mean, they were barely surviving. And we saw lots of different types of illnesses and diseases. And when Sandy and I were flying home with my husband and her son, it was just really clear to us. I remember walking down the aisle, and we just looked at each other, and we knew right then we had to do something. Wanted to do something, and that's where Partnering for Progress started. And by the way, Barb was one of our first, that she was. We sat around our dining room table, remember that? And that was our board, and we became a nonprofit, and we worked really hard. Our fundraisers were garage sales, by the way, but we did it. And 15 years later, we're doing really well. Do you want to talk about the holistic approach? Because this, I think, is the key. Okay, so we started out doing a lot of medical, and then we realized that education, you have to be educated if you're going to move up. You need to be able to go to school, high school, college. So we started an education component along with the health component, and they were able to do scholarships for kids to attend high school. And we're going to talk more about that later, but this is really our holistic approach. And then, of course, when you're doing health, you're looking at clean water, sanitation. They all go together. And after about, must have been 9 years, the poverty is truly overwhelming. People were not moving up. And so we decided to start some economic development programs. And that really is our 4 pillars of P4P. And we are really integrating, this is the exciting part, integrating the programs. Anyway, that's our holistic approach.
And I'm going to elaborate on adapting this holistic approach. We didn't just say we need to be looking at all these different components. We actually did a community survey asking the people we're serving in Kapanga, what is it you need? And they came back with, we need education, we need jobs, We're so poor here. We can't afford medication. We can't afford to send our kids to school. So part of what I think makes P4P unique is that we're not going in with a set of ideals of what we think they need. We're responding to what they tell us they need. So these 4 pillars really come out of feedback that we have had, along with observation, but feedback that we're getting from the community.
And our staff in Kenya, we have Nerea, who is our program coordinator, and she lives in Kisumu, which is about 2 hours away, and she travels every day. She'll stay for a week in Kopanga Gribe. But the other 3 people are all from the community. We have Charles, who does the health component, Joshua, who's economic development, and then Rose, who we will be telling you about later. And they really are, all 4 of them, the eyes on the ground. So I mentioned earlier that health was one of our major programs, and we've done a lot of changing since then. We no longer go and do trips where we stay for a week and see a lot of patients. We felt that overall that was really not giving us a lot of sustainability and really making a difference. And the community really was talking a lot about the malnourished babies. So we have a program called Power of Milk, and we have the caregivers with the babies. They come in once a week, and Charles does a health education program. He measures and weighs the babies, and then if there is the supply from the government, they all get that Plumpy Nut, which is a packet, like a peanut butter paste. And to be honest, they rarely get it. The government is very, very, very inconsistent. So what we're giving them instead is a flour mix with a couple of eggs. But they come back every week, and they do. It's really wonderful to see it. And over 225 truly malnourished babies have graduated from the program. And I have to tell you, we went in February, and this is, COVID struck, was our first trip back. Inflation is crazy. And the malnourished babies were still there. And so we know now, not now, but really the economics plays a big part in these malnourished babies. It's kind of hard to see.
Something I wanted that we should talk about in that the malnourished babies is not only are we feeding the babies, but the caregivers are being given weekly instruction by Charles in food preparation, not necessarily family planning, but discussing some options for women and families about birth, how quickly they're having babies, a number of really important issues get to be discussed, even just what a healthy baby looks like. So that's part of that really wonderful program that Stacey's talking about.
We also, with COVID, there was really a lack of food inflation, so we started to give out emergency baskets. And that was a real lifesaver for a lot of people. It had oil, sugar, flour, and some type of bean. And now we are giving it only to the Power of Milk families. And once a month, they get this basket of food, which really helps them get through the month. So I hope you can see that slide. That's an example of a very, very malnourished baby. And you know what is really, I'm just astounded. These babies live, and I never thought they would. But I think Charles does an incredible job of education. They come to the clinic, and they get the Plumpy Nut. And I think overall we've had maybe 2 deaths, and I think they were related to, one had malaria, and I can't remember what the other one had. And when you think about that, over 15 years, these babies are living. Amazing what, Power of Milk, what it does. So some more pictures, and you can see all the caregivers standing around there. It's really hard to see that slide. Are you able to see it?
Can you see the slide?
Okay.
On the very bottom picture, I love that photo because it's all the caregivers have been given all the caregivers have been given their monthly ration, let's call, and they're carrying it on their heads, and they're so happy. It's fun to see.
And on the right-hand side, you can see a little baby sitting there. So every week, they also get some food. And it's a big plate of food, of rice and beans and some type of green. And they all really appreciate that. And they come with their other children, and they all share it.
Ashervine.
Yeah, let's keep on going. Yeah, she was,
Ashervine was a success story.
yeah, she really was. So is that
This
water?
is
clean
water.
Water, it is.
So sources of water are very limited in this part of Kenya. An individual's lucky if they actually have water that they can access on their piece of land. Many people have to walk for miles to gather water. And a lot of times they're gathering water out of sources that are, or puddles or ponds that have multiple uses, like they'll come and wash their clothing close to the pond. They'll bathe in the pond. Sometimes cattle will walk into the pond or the puddle. And so these sources of water are contaminated before they ever put them in a bucket and take them home, and they're frequently used for culinary or drinking water. So we've worked very hard to help develop some water sources into, what do we call them?
Co-op.
Yeah, into co-ops, but we're also we do a little water protection so that we cover the main source of water and then put a tap so that they're getting water from a tap. In addition to that, we have helped give, and sometimes actually the Power of Milk mothers also might get chlorine tablets to put into their water. But as Stacey said, we encourage communities to govern their water by having a co-op, and people pay in a minimal amount of money to use that water. Then if something should happen to that source, they have a savings that they can then repair the source instead of relying on a nonprofit to come in and fix it. They have that sense of empowerment that they are in charge of their water.
And the other thing that the Water Committee has done, you can see the black tank there. They have 33 tanks put throughout different areas in the villages, mainly the schools. And the community members also have to pay part of it and do part of the work. So it's really a joint effort to get these water tanks. So then you have the water coming down from the roof into the water tanks, and what a difference, especially for the kids at school. 33, I believe.
The Water Committee has also worked on latrine development and encouraging use of latrines and digging latrines for every household. So that also improves overall health conditions and safe water safety. So this is my favorite part, and I know Barb has also served on this committee, but we have at this point 27 students enrolled in some sort of education program. And when I say some sort, some are high school students, and the lucky ones who have successfully finished high school and are motivated and doing, have good grades, they can come back to us and ask us to help them with college tuition. Now, we don't just give them all their college money. They have to go out and find other sources as well. But we're very proud of the fact that we have, I've lost track of how many kids have graduated at this point, but we have a number of children who have finished high school. And in Kenya, if you finish high school, you can go on to a trade school without having to pay. But if you want to go to a four-year college, then that money has to come from somewhere, and we do provide much of it. However, they have to meet certain criterion for us to work with them. And then also, the Education Committee works with works to keep young women in high school. If you think about it, feminine hygiene products are really a luxury that we in this country take for granted. But in a place like Kenya, young women end up spending almost a fourth of their school year at home because they have no way to deal with their menstrual cycles. So we've provided reusable sanitary pads, and I don't have an example here, but we have given out at this point, I think, nearly 850 sanitary, we call them Days for Girls kits, but in those kits are like 3 reusable pads, a way to wash them, the equipment you need to wash them. They get pencils, they get rulers, and they also go through a little program where they learn about their bodies, and it's a very comprehensive program for these young girls. So that's something the Education Committee does as well.
Next slide. Oh, this is exciting.
Yeah. So this is Rose, who was one of our students who graduated. She went all the way through high school, a stellar student, went on and graduated from Kenyatta University in Nairobi. We helped her do that with a scholarship. She is now interning for us, and she hopes to go to graduate school. She's one of our stars. So we're very proud of Rose.
We met her at this last trip, and she got a degree in social work, and one of her final papers was looking at malnutrition in Kopanga-Gribe. So she went out and interviewed all the medical providers and some of the parents and did a wonderful job, and of course is a great asset to the Power of Milk program. It's really exciting. Next slide. Oh,
Sorry, that's the Days for Girls.
keep going. This is the exciting part, because poverty is just endemic, and as we said before, it's really hard to move forward if you don't have the financial resources. So with the community's input, we started to look at what is it that this community wants and needs. And one of the top things was farming. So we now have a economic development coordinator. His name is Joshua. He's been trained in the, it's like an organic method of farming.
It's called Farming God's Way.
And it was a quite intricate, complicated program that he had to go through. And we have 20 farmers twice a year that go through the program. They receive fertilizer, seeds, and a lot of education and support. And it has been amazing, because we were just there to see the difference in the crops. I mean, you could see the villagers that did not have it versus the ones that were doing Farming God's Way. And part of the intent is that other villagers will go by and see the success and start asking more questions. So 20 farmers twice a year, and it's been very successful. There's been some challenges with the weather, either too much rain or not enough rain, but for the most part, they've done really well. And part of this program is they also donate back a bag of their corn to P4P, and that's been a nice mutual relationship. There's other parts of our economic development program. I'll let Sandy talk about our.
We have, it's called Mandalaya Pamoja, which is, I think it's Luo, but it means growing together. So these are groups, generally of women, who get together and form a working body, and we request that we receive grant requests from these various groups. And we go over the requests of what they want their money for, what they're going to do economically. Are they going to farm? Are they going to make bricks? Are they going to buy rental materials so that they can rent out like chairs and tents? I think there's been soap making. There's been a couple of different types of things, but generally it looks like farming and brick making are big. So we go through those applications. We pick 3 each year. We give them, and this doesn't sound like much, but for Kenyans it's a lot. We give them about, I think, $200 or $250 grant. And then they have a year to use that money. And when Stacey and I were over last February, it was just amazing what they did with the money.
It's astounding.
And not only do these women work together, but then they table bank together. So one person might need money for school loans or school fees. So they'll loan the money to this one person, and then she has to pay it back. But it really works for them. And so we're still doing that. Yeah, it's very cool. And these women are amazing. I mean, what they do with that money just would boggle your mind. So,
And anybody in those groups, they have to attend a financial literacy program, as do the farmers. And that has really been important because you need to know, how do you save? How do you save for an emergency? How do you put aside some money? And I think we're trying to also get the power of milk caregivers into that program too. That hasn't happened yet, but that's one of our long-term goals.
yeah, when you think about moving into a community such as Kapanga and how I don't want to say backwards, but how unprepared they are for living in this century, there's a lot that they don't know. And one of them was simple financial planning. So, yeah. So this financial piece is really big, that they're getting this education.
Next slide. Oh, there you go. So you see there's Charles and Joshua. Joshua is the taller one on the right-hand side. That's really tall corn. I wish we had something to compare it, but it was very, very successful. What is in the upper left? I can't see that. Oh, this was exciting. So we went to see the different farmers. And this particular husband and wife not only did the corn, but they were also raising types of fruit. I believe we have a pineapple there. And vegetables. It was an impeccable area. I mean, this man really learned a lot from Joshua, and you can really see the difference in his yield and the variety of crops, because it's been really important to get a different variety of crops. You can't keep doing corn. And there's some resistance to it, but bit by bit, I believe Joshua is making a difference with that. And you see right down below, when we were there, goats are a big deal. So what P4P did, we decided to pay half of the price of a goat, and we went to this, it's not a goat farm, what would you call it? It was
It's market.
a market, and they were selling all these goats as well as sheep, and we got a little confused, and they would go out and pick their own goat, and then in a period of time, they'll be paying back. I think we paid $30, and they're going to be paying the other $30 over time. They can't do it right away, but we have all the names down, and now they will own their own goats. Next slide.
This is water.
So keep going. Before we get there, there's one other thing I want to talk about. I mentioned that there was an integration of the services. So the Power of Milk caregivers are truly the poorest of the poor. I mean, they have hardly anything. They're often single parents and often raised by the grandparents. So now we are teaching, not we, Joshua is teaching the Power of Milk caregivers how to grow vegetables. And this is the first time that we've done this, and there's just this hope that they're going to be able to learn a skill so that then they can feed themselves and their babies. If you want to go fast.
That is just a photo of that is a typical schoolyard. I don't know if you can even begin to see how many children are in that photo, but there's a lot.
And that's really what it talks about. If you want to go fast, go alone. And if you want to go far, go together, which is hence our name, Partnering, because we really do partner. I think that might be the last slide. That is the last. I think what was really exciting for Sandy as the co-founders and seeing it initially was to be able to go back in February by ourselves and the incredible changes that are happening in the community and with Partnering for Progress. We were just astounded. We met this one, do I have time? Am I okay? Okay, well, so we met this one family, and the young boy was in the Power of Milk program, severely malnourished, and he graduated, and they got 2 chickens when they graduate from the program. So with these 2 chickens, had the eggs, saved, raised the eggs, sold the eggs, well, I can't raise eggs, sold the eggs, and then with this money, they were able to buy goats, and eventually he has now bought a cow. But it didn't stop there. Their daughter also was a recipient of the P4P scholarship program. It is, and of course he's with a farming group too, and so we were able to walk around and see his farm and see all the changes that he had made. But it was like, this is P4P. This is the integration of programs and the hope and the changes that are happening right now. I thought that was probably one of the most positive things that we have seen.
Yeah.
So, are there any questions?
Thank you for listening. Oh, yes.
How different is their life now compared to, say, 150 years ago? I mean, have things deteriorated, or it's just we have a more modern world now and we'd love them to be part of that?
I think that's a good question. I've seen things change in the 15 years that we've been there, but I think there's a lot of forces at work besides P4P. So when we first started going there, everybody rode bicycles. You'd see some cars, but primarily people got around on bikes or walked. Now you see people on motorcycles, and bikes are a rare thing. And there are more cars.
Cell phones?
Cell phones everybody has a cell phone. And Kenyans do most of their banking, they do on their phone. So, but I would say, the first time Stacey and I went there, and our families, they had this community had just gone through a major drought. Everybody was stick thin. A lot of people had no shoes. And people literally were wearing clothes that were falling off of them. I don't see that as much now. It seems like everybody at least has a pair of shoes. And there are people who are still very, very living just minimally lives, minimal as far as health and resource. But I do see that there's some good things happening.
Thank you. We do have some handouts in the back.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you.
121?
Did you want to give a blessing?
Do you want me to do that first?
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gordon.
Yep.
Keep me on track. Please stand. Thank you so much for that presentation. Please stand and join me for 121 We'll Build a Land. in the hymnal. We'll build a land where we bind up the broken. We'll build a land where the captives go free, where the oil of gladness dissolves all mourning. Oh, we'll build a promised land that can be. Come, build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by love, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. We'll build a land where we bring the good tidings to raise all the afflicted and all those who mourn, and we'll give them garlands instead of ashes. Oh, we'll build a land where people is born. Come, build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by love, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. We'll be a land building up ancient cities, raising up devastations from old, restoring ruins of generations. Oh, we'll build a land where people so bold. Come, build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by love, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. Come, build a land where the mantles of praises resound from spirits once faint and once weak, where the oaks of righteousness stand her people. Oh, come, build the land, my people we seek. Come, build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by love, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream.
As we depart today, I want to share these closing words from Reverend Steve Crump. That which is worthy of doing, create with your hands. That which is worthy of repeating, speak with a clear voice. That which is worthy of remembering, hold in your hearts. And that which is worthy of living, go and live it now. Amen. Blessed be. Salam alaikum and shalom.